Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I highly appreciate it. So before we start with today's video, please make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Simply hit the subscribe button so you never have to miss out every time I post a new video. Remember, it's free to subscribe. There is no money involved. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button now so you never ever have to miss out whenever I post a new video. Okay, let's start with today's video. Today we'll be looking at the differences between a pescatarian diet and a pollotarian diet and which one is better for your health. Now, in my previous two videos, I did talk about the pescatarian diet and the pollotarian diet. So if you missed those two videos, my two previous videos, please do go and check them out because they're going to help you in understanding today's video a lot better. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So this is just going to be like a summarized form of what a pescatarian diet and a vegetarian diet is all about. If you want more in-depth information, please go listen to my two previous videos, the one on the pescatarian diet and the one on the pollotarian diet. Okay, so let's start with today's video. What is a pollotarian diet? Well, we're going to start with the pescatarian diet. What is a pescatarian diet? Well, a pescatarian diet is a diet that emphasizes the consumption of plant-based foods. Also, it includes eggs, dairy products, fish, and other seafood, but it excludes meat and poultry. We'll get into detail later on with that. Now, what is a pollotarian diet? Well, a pollotarian diet is a diet that emphasizes the consumption of plant-based foods, including eggs, dairy products, and poultry, but it excludes meat and other seafood. Okay, so let us break that down. So what are the similarities between the two diets? Well, we can clearly tell that both diets emphasize the consumption of plant-based foods that includes eggs and dairy products. And they both exclude the consumption of meat. Now, when we say meat, we're talking about our red meat. So there would be things like your beef, your pork, your lamb, venison, game meat, all your red meat. However, on a pescatarian diet, you are permitted to eat fish and other types of seafood. And on a pollotarian diet, you are permitted to eat poultry. Okay, so what exactly can you eat on these two diets? So let us look at what are the similarities between the two diets. What can you eat on both diets? So both the pescatarian diet and the pollotarian diet emphasize the consumption of plant-based foods. So let us look at what are these plant-based foods. What are you allowed to eat on a pescatarian diet as well as on a pollotarian diet? So you are allowed to eat whole grains. Whole grains are things like millets, quinoa, oats, rye, barley, your whole wheat products, things like that, which are better for your health because they provide more nutrients and more minerals, unlike their refined counterparts. Okay, you are allowed to eat your legumes, things like your beans, your lentils, your chickpeas, your peas, and your peanuts. These will provide you with plant-based protein. You're allowed to eat your fruits and vegetables. These will provide you with your vitamins and minerals, your antioxidants, and they will also help to strengthen your immune system. You're allowed to eat nuts and seeds. These are things like your almond nuts, your cashew nuts, your pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, chia seeds, things like that. You're also allowed to eat nut butters and seed butters. So for example, your almond nut butter or your sunflower seed butters, things like that. Okay, you can also eat healthy oils. These are things such as your olives, your olive oils, avocado, your avocado oils, macadamia oils, things like that. You can also eat eggs and dairy products. Dairy products being things like your cheese, your milk, your yogurts, your kefir, things like that. And then in addition to this, right, on So there was the plant-based foods that you're allowed to eat. But then in addition to this, right, on a pescatarian diet, you can also eat fish and other seafood. So your healthier types of fish, fish that is rich in omega-3. Here we're talking about your healthier types of your seafood. So things like your cod, things like your shrimp, things like tuna, the healthier types of your fish, things like your salmon and your trout. And then on a Pollotarian diet, this is poultry. You are allowed to consume poultry on a Pollotarian diet. So poultry would be things like your chicken, for example, your turkey, your duck, your goose, things like that. Okay, so that is what you are allowed to eat on both a pescatarian diet as well as on a Pollotarian diet. Okay. Now, let us look at things that you need to look out for. What do you need to be aware of whenever you decide to go on a plant-based diet, or whenever you are deciding to cut back on your meat intake? Say now you don't want to consume red meat, you want to focus more on your plant-based foods. What are the things that you need to look out for, or things that you should be aware of, or take note of whenever you're deciding to maybe say, I no longer want to consume red meat, for example, or I want to focus more on consuming plant-based foods? So this is what you need to be mindful of. If you want to go on a pescatarian diet, you need to take note of the fact that some of the fish that we find may contain contaminants. So some fish may contain contaminants like mercury or other chemicals. So there's some fish that you would like to stay away from. Not all fish will be good for you. Some fish may contain mercury. So fish like shark, swordfish, king mackerel, your tailfish, your big eye, and your tuna fish. All these types of fishes I've just mentioned, they contain high levels of mercury. So this is the fish that you would like to avoid, or you want to stay away from. You want to focus more on your healthy fish, like I've already mentioned, things like your salmon and fish like salmon and trouts, fish that is more high in omega-3 and healthy fatty omega-3 fatty acids. That is correct. So that's if you're deciding to be pescatarian. That is something that you need to take note of. And then in overall, on a plant-based diet, or when you decide to cut out meat, whether you're going pescatarian or whether you are going pollotarian, you need to be mindful of the fact that some people might not get all the nutrients that their body requires from a plant-based diet. If you're not eating a variety of food on a plant-based diet, then you might run the risk of nutritional deficiencies. Also, if you are not consuming eggs and dairy products, you might run the possibility of being nutrient deficient. So some of the nutrients that you need to be aware of or take notes of that you might be deficient in when going on, say, a pescatarian diet, for example, or going on a pollotarian diet. This is something like your vitamin B12, your zinc, your iron, your calcium, and your omega-3 fatty acids. These are some of the nutrients you want to be aware of if you are not getting enough of these in your diets, because we know that most of these nutrients, something like vitamin B12, you can only get it from animal products. So if you're not eating enough of your meat, for example, since you're no longer eating your beef, your chicken, which are higher in vitamin B12, if you're not eating, for example, dairy products, and you have to get them only from the plants. Plants are not always good sources because they are not always easy. The nutrients found in plants are not always easy to absorb. Like something like vitamin B12, for example, you can't get it from plant-based foods. You have to get it from your animal food. So if you're not eating enough of those animal foods, since the main focus would be on plant-based foods, then I would say be mindful of the fact that you may be deficient in these nutrients or vitamins, and then you might need to take a nutritional supplement just to ensure that you do not become nutritional deficient or deficient in any of these nutrients. So that, I would say, is something to take note of, or something to be aware of if ever you're deciding, or you're thinking maybe about going, say, pescatarian, or you're thinking maybe of saying going Pollotarian, or maybe you just want to focus more on eating plant-based foods and less of the meat. This is something that I would say is important to take note of or be aware of, And then you need to always ensure that the food you eat contains enough nutrients. And if necessary, do take nutritional supplements to prevent any nutritional deficiencies, okay? Now, are there any potential benefits to going, maybe say, pescatarian, where you are consuming plant-based foods and fish and seafood, or maybe going Pollotarian, where you're consuming poultry, which would be your chicken, duck, turkey, things like that? Now, I'm just going to mention the potential benefits for both pescatarian and Pollotarian, and they're in no particular order, so you can reap some of these benefits. Now, let's be clear on this. These benefits, you will only reap them provided that you focus on whole foods. So forget the junk food. Let us focus on whole foods, healthy food, nutritious food. So this would be things like the health benefits. They would support heart and brain health. Fish is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which reduces inflammation, improves blood pressure, and supports cognitive functioning and mental health. This would obviously be somebody who is on a pescatarian diet, or somebody contemplating being on a pescatarian diet, because we know that on a pescatarian diet, you consume fish, and fish is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which is good for heart and brain functioning. It promotes healthy weights. The diet emphasizes nutrient-dense, low-calorie, plant-based foods, such as your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains, which I've already mentioned earlier on, which can contribute to weight loss and weight management. So overall, whether you're on a pescatarian or Pollotarian diet, you can reap those benefits, okay? And then another benefit is that it may reduce disease risk. A well-rounded, a well-planned pescatarian or Pollotarian diets can lower the risk of type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and some forms of cancer. Okay? It may improve your digestion. An abundance of fiber-rich plant-based foods can improve daily nutrition and support a healthy metabolism. Okay? And then let's look at the benefits for the environment. It can lower the carbon footprint by choosing sustainable seafood. Now, here we mean if you are going on a pescatarian diet. By choosing sustainable seafood and reducing overall meat consumption, you can contribute to a smaller environmental impact compared to diets high in red meat and dairy. Okay, so those are some of the benefits you can reap, provided that you are doing the healthy plant-based food. So if you're going pescatarian, or if you are deciding to go Pollotarian, or if you have not yet decided, then if you are going to go on a plant-based diet, you will reap these benefits provided that you are eating whole foods. You are not eating processed, refined carbohydrates. You're not eating the sugar. You're eating whole foods, like the fruits, the vegetables, the whole grains, the legumes. And then, of course, your healthy fish, if you are on a pescatarian diet, your salmon and your trout. And then if you are on Pollotarian diet, or contemplating going Pollotarian, you want to focus more on the leaner cuts of your chicken, or for example, your leaner cuts, things like the chicken breast, for example, things like the turkey breast, for example, which are much healthier because they contain less of the saturated fats, Okay, and then we said we're talking about the environmental benefits now. Lower carbon footprint By choosing sustainable seafood and reducing overall meat consumption, you can contribute to a smaller environmental impact compared to diets high in red meat and dairy. So sustainable seafood, yes, which is if you're on a pescatarian diet. And then balancing plant and animal protein. It offers balance. It offers a balanced approach by providing high quality protein from poultry and fish while emphasizing plant-based foods. So it's a balanced approach because on the one hand, you're eating plant-based foods, but then you're also allowed to eat either your fish and seafood or your poultry. So you're getting a balance, like you're getting the best of both worlds, because on the one hand, you're focusing on plant-based food while at the same time you are allowed to consume your seafood if you are pescatarian, and then you can also consume your poultry if you are pollotarian. So you're not cutting out meat completely from your diets. You're getting the best of both worlds, but you're just focusing on the more healthier type of meat, you know. And then it offers a way to enjoy the health benefits of a plant-heavy diet without completely eliminating animal protein, like I've just mentioned. It is the best of both worlds because you are eating plant-based foods, but at the same time you're still enjoying your animal protein. So it's a balance between the two. And then here is something to note before I close off. Here is something to note, or something that you need to take away. This is very important to note this, that whenever deciding to change your diet, always consult a health professional who will be able to assist you in determining which diet is best suited for you, and to also ensure that you get all the required nutrients through your diet. And always remember to eat a variety of foods to ensure maximum nutritional intake. You need to focus on whole and processed foods to reap all the nutritional benefits. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, there would be no point to you going pescatarian or you going pollotarian, only for you to continue eating junk food, for you to eat the ice cream, the sweets, the cakes, the biscuits, the white bread, and the white rice. Then what's the point? So here with these benefits, you will only be able to reap these benefits, or you will benefit from being on a pescatarian diet or from being on a pollotarian diet by eating healthy, unprocessed, whole food. Okay. And also make sure that you eat a variety of foods. That way you can ensure maximum nutritional intake. And if you have any concerns around your health, I would say it is always best to consult with a health professional who can best assist you, who can best advise you on the best diet for you, for your health, and who can help you plan your meals. If you're struggling with meal planning, you can consult a dietitian who can help you plan your meals to ensure that even on a plant-based diet, even though you're cutting out on the meat, you're limiting your meat intake, that you're still getting adequate nutrients into your body. Okay. So both the pescatarian diets and the pollotarian diet can be healthy diets, provided that they are done correctly and provided that the focus is on whole foods, whole unprocessed foods, in order for you to reap the benefits. Okay. I mean, like with any diets, I would say if you're still focusing on the junk food, the unhealthy food, the processed food, you cannot reap all the benefits. Instead, it's only going to do you more harm than good. Okay, and then either diets can be best suited for somebody looking to reduce their meat intake and focus more on plant-based foods, but somebody that does not want to completely let go of the meat. So you have made up the decision, or you've made up your mind that I don't want to eat red meat, but I don't want to let go of the meat completely. What then can I do? You can then decide if you are into more seafood, then you can go for a pescatarian diet. If fish and seafood is more your thing, then you can go for a pescatarian diet. If you're more into poultry, things like your chicken, your turkey, your duck, your goose, then maybe you can consider a Pollotarian diet. If you're not sure, you can consider a Flexitarian diet, which is something I spoke about in my previous video. You can go check that out. But either diet, either whether you go pescatarian, whether you go Pollotarian, both diets have nutritional benefits, have health benefits, provided they are done right, provided the focus is on healthy foods, nutritious foods. Eat a variety of food. Don't limit your intake of food. As long as you are eating whole, unprocessed food, it is okay. You will reap the benefits. Just ensure that you are getting sufficient nutrients. And if you feel like you're not getting sufficient nutrients into your body, then maybe you can consider taking nutritional supplements just to ensure that you do not become that you don't get nutritional deficiencies. Okay. And with that said, that is all that I had for you for today's video. Please don't forget to like the video if you found something useful from this video. Don't forget to share my video with the people that you know. But most importantly, please do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Remember that it is free to subscribe. There is no money involved. All you have to do is click on the subscribe button so you never have to miss out every time I post a new video. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. Do catch me on the next video. Bye!